Welcome back to Modal Recall, the publications podcast where we turn yesterday's runways into today's forecast. I'm Britta Lake.
And I'm Sarah DeMarco. On today's episode, we're unpacking our Part 6 trend report for FASM 419 and LXMT 503 with a deep dive into heavy metal leathers.
We'll start with a quick recap of our 5 trend categories: color, fabric, prints, silhouettes, and details, then zoom in on our leathers resurgence.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. Ready to begin? Let's roll into the runway roundup.
First up, color. Fall Winter 25 pairs grounded earth tones like coffee brown and camel with vivid pops, such as chartreuse belts and fuchsia accents.
And the jewel tones, including burgundy knitwear and acid yellow scarves, gave winter separates real warmth and energy.
Next, fabric. Shearlings and faux fur teddy coats delivered tactile luxury. Heavy metal leathers returned in an oversized moto and bomber jackets, practical armor with polish.
Sweater dressing went luxe with oversized Fair Isle patterns and sculpted turtlenecks. Satin and foil finishes lit up evening wear with mirrored drama.
Prints bridged heritage and edge, micro glen checks, and window pane structured suiting. Cowhide spots and Appaloosa patterns reappeared in outerwear.
80s circus act graphics merged neon brushstrokes with retro silhouettes. Grunge mashups layered florals, plaids, and fur for collage effect impact.
Silhouettes balanced structure and ease, with peplums updating 40s waists, tailoring featuring strong shoulders and nipped waists, dresses layered over pants, and head-to-toe leather uniforms commanding presence.
Its shape invited us to mix heritage with modern innovation.
Finally, details: extra long belts, sculpted waists, lace insets peaked at skin, sequins and foil-like embellishments pushed disco futurism, and faux fur trims edged coats with warmth.
That completes your runway snapshot in 2 minutes.
Now for our trend highlight: heavy metal leathers. Once again, these are oversized moto and bomber jackets cut from thick polished hide with gleaming hardware.
They are armor pieces that combine protection with runway polish.
Our story begins in 1917 when the U.S. Army's flight jackets shielded pilots from wind and cold, and then in 1928, Scott's Perfecto introduced asymmetrical zips and belts for windproofing.
And Marlon Brando made it iconic in The Wild One in 1953, cementing leather's rebel mystique.
Fast forward to Fall Winter 25 in Paris, Hermes debuted glossy sculptural leather coats and trousers. In Milan, Alaya revived boxy moto jackets with oversized zips.
Bottega Veneta's bombers dialed collars and belt hardware back to aviator roots. Tom Ford and Skimka closed shows in head-to-toe leather for maximum impact.
Off the runway, high street giants like H&M and Zara released faux leather bombers days after shows.
Luxury flagships Bonita Bottega and Tom Ford featured heavy hides front and center.
On social media, street-style photographers captured Bella Hadid layering bombers over chunky knits. Rihanna and Zendaya's custom jackets sold overnight.
TikTok reels tagged hashtag FW25 leather wrapped up millions of views as creators showcased styling from street edge to evening chic. Ready to rock heavy metal leathers yourself? Pair an oversized bomber with a slim turtleneck and tailored trousers for balanced proportions.
For dressier looks, layer a boxy moto jacket over a slip dress with heeled boots and a pop of chartreuse or burgundy in your accessories.
For a subtler nod, choose leather trim coats or moto-inspired hardware on belts and bags. Keep the rest streamlined so the leather stands out. Now, let's recall 2005. The influence of Hollywood, specifically the aviator starring Kate Blanchett and Leonardo DiCaprio, sent designers' imaginations flying. A.F. Vandervoorst fur boots, Hermes and Balenciaga fur coats. Fur was definitely something that was very prevalent that we also see in today.
I
Christian,
love the new fur boot trend.
oh, you do? It
Mm.
is very, very warm and very, very fuzzy for winter 2025 coming up. Christian Dior back in 2005 had a beautiful white and black striped long sleeve sweater that resembled an animal pattern almost of a zebra, but then paired it with a great motorcycle leather hat and riding boots, very Marlon Brando. And then Marc Jacobs, as I was looking, was very, very impressed to see some of the color palettes of today that we've been talking about, those burgundies and chartreuse that were muted, is also showing up back in 2005, along with him using a lot of plaid and belted waists. I think it is true that the pendulum does swing back every 20 years.
So I can't speak on that because I was only 4 in 2005. Wish I was a little bit older because I love Marlon Brando.
And
But
I
tell me
was
what, Sarah, how are you applying these trends when you were younger?
back then, you know what's so funny is I just graduated high school, and one of my graduation dresses had a very striped, almost animal print for zebra, black and white. And also, the leather jacket was one thing that you definitely wanted to see. And I do recall that probably in 2004, going to 2005, Boots with the Fur was definitely a song that I was hearing when I was going out with all of my friends. And I believe I even had a pair. So I can say this is a very nostalgic memory. Just this time, when I look at it and I think about it and how I could incorporate it, it feels a little bit more elevated and luxurious than when I was probably about 19 years old.
I love that. We can tell always an icon till to this
Oh,
day.
thank you.
Jealous. As a kid around that time, the closest I had to fur boots was Uggs, and they stunk after a good 2 weeks of wearing them. So I missed out on that a lot. And when I was 12, leather jackets, I was not wearing them well. I thought I was punk rock. It was not the look. I tried my hardest to fit in, but that was closer to 2011. So I definitely missed out on the boots with the fur, but it's coming back and
I was
it's one
going
of
to
my favorite
say,
things now, and I'm so excited. I I mean, and the closest to animal trend that I've really been a part of was the peak of 2020 COVID when everyone was wearing the cow print, which I personally hated. The strawberry cow thing, I don't know if you were
no.
anywhere a part of that. It drove me mad. It was huge. Everyone was wearing cow print. And I'm glad we're bringing it back in a more sophisticated, authentic, true, like Appaloosa way, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I love that. That's a beautiful print. And even back to your, leather jacket, this also opens up the can of worms of what's a fad and what's a classic. And I think what we're seeing in parallel from 2005 to 2025 is there's some beautiful classic staples across the board that are resurfacing in beautiful ways. And so I'm so excited to look forward to this fall and winter to try them out.
Well, I am as well. And I'm so excited that fashion is circular because now that jacket that was way too big for me in 2012 is now my staple moto jacket for 2025. And
Love.
I saved money on this trend and it's sustainable. So,
No, that's a really good call out. I've been reading a lot of articles lately about how people are being very selective of what they're buying and quality, and they realize that a lot of what they're finding, especially on the vintage side, is actually sometimes made better. So they're really enjoying those classic pieces that they can keep in their closet. And so I'm excited to see what else resurfaces, maybe even from 2005, that will get another second round.
right, please hold on to your clothes from 2005 just in case, so we
Yes.
don't. And that wraps up this episode.
Subscribe wherever you listen and follow at modal.publication for show notes, runway stills, and our full trend report and highlight articles.
This is Modal Recall. See you in the past.